Depends on how you look at things, right? Like some people would say, for instance, Chris, you recently moved in across the street here from the LRN.FM studios.
Yeah.
And there are some who would argue that you free stater types, of course, you're not even a free stater, you liberty activists moving together, you guys are bringing down the property values in the neighborhood. In fact, that was one of the claims on why the house that ultimately you moved into took so long to sell. One of the rumors going around the neighbors was that it was because of those darn liberty activists across the street.
It wasn't the high price and like being nearly double what the house
wasn't
next
the fact
door.
that the woman refused to lower her price in any meaningful way over the time she was an unreasonable seller. No, that had nothing to do with it. It was the liberty activists bringing the prices and the values of the houses down. To me,
Sell
that's a
it to
good
a
thing.
liberty activist.
Right.
I mean, it's not that complicated of an equation.
Even if that's true, right? Even if that's true, then I think is a fine idea. Let's create, as Rich Paul has put it, the Porcupine Ghetto, a place where property values for the average buyer are in decline. But for a liberty activist, that's a valuable thing. We want more liberty people to move together, to move close together. And if the prices are going down on houses, that only encourages people to buy rather than rent and to actually make an investment and to, sink some roots into the ground. It doesn't mean that this neighborhood's trashy or anything like that. In fact, the guy that complains about this particular house in this area happens to have a trashier porch, in my opinion, than we do. He just seems to be collecting more junk up there as the days go by.
Right, and the thing is, obviously, things that people value different things differently, right? I mean, subjective value and whatnot, and so they're going by what the tax assessor says the value of their property is, and if the if the city of Keene thinks that we're bringing down property values, then that's the city of Keene's opinion, and I don't particularly value the opinion of the city of Keene, the city government. So, clearly, if we have people who want to be around other like-minded people, I mean, this is kind of a cool neighborhood to live in,
I think it'll be getting, especially if more people start buying or renting in this neighborhood, the more people that love freedom that can come physically, literally, houses down from one another, I think is very valuable. You want to talk about response time. I mean, here in New Hampshire, you can have response time. I don't know if it was Tony Bones, but one of these online liberty activists, people that are kind of trying to make it happen wherever it is they're living. And in her case, I think it's Missouri, for instance.
Yeah.
There was like some post made about getting pulled over by the police and, someone please respond. And my question was, did anyone respond?
Of course not.
If
of
not,
course, that's you being a jerk, right? If you ask that question.
I didn't say it that way.
Okay.
I said it something like, well, if you want guaranteed, almost guaranteed response, you should live in Keene or Manchester.
But do you understand how, sometimes people will give you trouble about that? But it's the God's honest truth.
I don't care if they give me trouble. It is the truth.
I'm not trying to be mean to anybody here, but if you want to, why are you trying to recreate the wheel?
I want to support you. I want to be able to be there for you if you love freedom and are willing to stand up for it. But I can't drive to Missouri and I can't drive to California, but I can go across town and I can hop on my bike and go across town. But it's even easier when it's across the street. If something were to happen, Chris, at your house, I'm right here.
Right.
It's no problem.
And there have been things that happened over here, and I run out of the house immediately. And I saw, it was a innocent enough thing. It wasn't a problem, but the police pulled up here once, and I was just like, got on my radio, and I was like, the cops are in front of Ian's house. And, Derek came out with a camera like 2 seconds later. It's really cool here. And, I mean, even Keene as opposed to Manchester, frankly, I put out the 411 the other day that, like, I was in Manchester and, filming the police, and I'm like, is there a radio channel that they use here? And the young lady I was with was like, I'm not really sure, and I'm looking.
We've been trying to help that. I mean, you can't push people into this stuff, unfortunately. And I know we've gone far astray from the lemonade stand. We'll get back into that here. But just talking about activist communications and getting people to get on the same channels and things like that. There aren't as many radios distributed in Manchester, and of those that are distributed, there aren't as many in use, from what I understand.
Right.
They had a Manchester 411. You were talking about how you sent a text message to this Keene 411 system, but I don't think anyone in Manch really monitors that actively, so they probably didn't see that.
Right.
And nobody's ever used the Manch 411 except for Dale, who used to be our co-host. He tried to get people into it, and just nobody was interested. More coming up here in moments. You can take control. This is Free Talk Live. Bring up whatever's on your mind.
Free Talk Live, 7 nights a week from 7 to 10 Eastern, live on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.